What things do guys do that are unbelievably sexy without them knowing it? My boyfriend and I were out on a weekend trip, and on our way back, my Jeep got a flat tire. He rolled up his sleeves, and as he started loosening the lug nuts, his biceps flexed in a way that I couldn't help but notice. It was like something out of a movie. The way he effortlessly handled the tire iron, making it look so easy, had my heart racing. My knees practically gave out, and I could barely stand up straight as I watched him work. There was just this undeniable confidence about him that made me weak in the knees. He didn't say much, just, "What about fixing the flat tire?" with a calm determination that was incredibly sexy. When he finished, I obviously gave him a reward. What's your worst "I know this looks bad, but I can explain" moment? A female friend of mine who is a police officer was on a welfare check and was bit by the property owner's dog. She was about a mile from my house when bit, and because I am an emergency medical technician, she decided to call me to see if I could inspect where she was bitten and advise if she needed to go to the hospital. She show up at my house and limps into the kitchen, telling me the dog bit her just below her left butt cheek on the rear of her upper thigh. I was worried that the bite had broke the skin and she would need to get it bandaged and possibly get a rabies shot. I told her that I would have to take a look at the bite to help her sew. She takes off her duty belt and pulls her pants down to around her knees to expose the bite area. It didn't look too bad, but there were 2 spots where the dog's teeth had broke the skin. I told her I would bandage it up so she could make the 20-minute drive to the clinic. I was just about to bandage her leg when my wife walks through the door. There I am with one of our female friends standing in our kitchen in her police officer uniform, pants down. She was wearing a thong. I was sitting, so basically her ass was in my face and my hands on her upper thigh/butt. We both had the deer in the headlights stare as we realized how bad this must have looked to my wife. We then both shouted out in unison, "It was a dog bite." What scary gut feeling did you have that turned out to be true? I went to a mall in my hometown 2 weeks ago to redeem a gift voucher I got from my parents about 3 years ago. I parked in the basement and walked up to the doors, where a guy wearing a staff uniform was waiting and opened the door for me. As I stepped inside, he joined me and pressed the button to go to a certain floor without asking me where I'm going. As the door started closing, my gut told me to get the fuck out because something is off about this guy. I stepped out, pretending that I forgot something in the car. The guy didn't follow me out. I decided that it was nothing and shouldn't stress about it, so up I went to the 3rd floor. As I stepped out, a bunch of security guards came running toward the lift and chased me out and took the lift to the next floor. I asked one of the people what happened and no one knew. Maybe 10 minutes later, there was an announcement saying that the 5th floor in the elevators on that side of the mall is closed due to security reasons. Turned out that the guy who was with me in the lift slashed the next guy, who entered his neck with a carpenter's knife, unaliving him and tried to attack the security guards when the doors opened. My gut really saved me.
People who work in retail. What's the saddest thing someone ever returned? I used to be a manager for a Disney store. We had a regular old man come in with his wife regularly. Super cute couple. I mean, matching outfits, holding hands, just cute as could be. We used to sell these huge stuffed animals, like ginormous. The couple came in about once a week and would just walk around laughing, smile, buy things here and there. One night he came in on his own and bought one of these gigantic Mickeys we had. It was $300, I think. He was so excited. He told us all about how he was going to take her out to dinner and it would be sitting there on the bed to surprise her when they got home. 2 days later, he walked back in carrying the gigantic Mickey Mouse plush to return. He had bought it to surprise her for her 75th birthday. She passed away in her sleep the day before her birthday. He thanked us and said goodbye, and that he would not be coming back because our store reminded him too much of his wife. We found out he passed away a week later, just 7 days from the day his wife passed. They were such amazing people. Breaks my heart just thinking about it.
What made the high school legend become a legend? We had a teacher who was infamous for not letting you go to the bathroom no matter what. I mean, so much so that if you accidentally started your period in class, she'd make you wait. This actually happened. So there was a girl who we'll call Katie in class who tended to be a bit of a troublemaker. Katie hated that teacher because she begged to go to the bathroom and got shut down every time at the end of the year. Katie asked one more time to go to the bathroom. The teacher said no. Katie asked another time. 5 minutes later, the teacher said no again. 5 minutes after that, Katie asked again. The teacher hit the roof and said that if she said one more thing, Katie would be sent to the principal. Katie shrugged and said, "This is on you then," and pissed on her seat right where she was. The teacher sent her to the principal, who called her parents, one of which was a urologist. Her father yelled at the principal. The teacher ended up in deep shit. According to other kids, she never denied another kid the bathroom again.
My best friend falsely accused me of having a crush on her husband. My best friend Sarah and her husband Matt have put me in a tough spot with my fiancé Jack. I've known Matt since we were kids. He was my neighbor. Sarah and I became close in college when we were roommates. When I introduced Sarah and Matt, they hit it off and started dating. I was happy for them, but often felt left out as they got closer. After college, Matt stopped being friends with me, which hurt, but I stayed close to Sarah. We hung out often, but I didn't talk much to Matt except for saying hello. Sometimes Sarah tried to arrange double dates, but Matt had become rude and mean to me. Still, for Sarah's sake, I ignored it because he was a good husband to her. When Jack and I got engaged, we didn't plan a party, which disappointed Sarah. So she organized a small gathering gathering at her place to celebrate us. As the night ended, Matt, who had been drinking, shocked me by saying in front of Jack that I had a crush on him and was glad I was finally settling down. I denied it, but he laughed it off, making me feel embarrassed. Sarah just said to ignore him because he was drunk and trusted that I wouldn't act on any crush. Jack got really upset and left without listening to me. Since then, he hasn't talked to me or answered my calls. I've tried talking to Sarah to clear things up with Jack, but she's been avoiding me. I don't get why they'd believe Matt's nonsense after all I've done for Sarah. I feel humiliated that they think I liked Matt. Now I need to convince Jack it's not true, and I'm not sure where I stand with Sarah anymore. The rest of the story is on my channel and linked below.
When did the popular kid's life fall apart in a few seconds? His dad pass away. It was really shitty. Before that, he was not only popular but also smart, motivated, a great athlete, and actually a great guy in person. As much as you can be till you are 15. The guy and his dad were really close as he lost his mother when he was maybe 2 or 3. His dad used to drop him at the school. They used to go out together every weekend. They had really good bond. We all used to say that they had the ideal father and son connection. Then his dad died right before he was going to have a football game. Heart attack in the shower before they were going to leave for it. We heard about it later, and basically from there, everything seemed to decline. He became angry, as you could expect, and I think looking back, you'd expect a decline in everything at first, but he just spiraled deeper and deeper. He dropped out of school and became addicted to painkillers. We didn't see him for a while. When I did catch up with him later in a club, he'd been so into drugs, his brain literally seemed fried. It was sad for every reason. 2 mischievous boys, aged 8 and 10, are known for causing all sorts of trouble in their town. Their mother, hoping to discipline them, asks a preacher to speak to them. The preacher agrees, but he asks to see the boys individually. The preacher, a huge man with a booming voice, sits the younger boy down and asks sternly, "Do you know where God is, son?" The boy's mouth drops open. He doesn't respond, but sits there wide-eyed with his mouth hanging open. So the preacher repeats the question in an even sterner tone, "Where is God?" The boy lowers his gaze but does not answer. The preacher raises his voice further, shakes his finger in the boy's face and bellows, "Where is God?" The boy screams and runs directly home and dives into his closet, slamming the door behind him. When his older brother finds him in the closet, he asks, "What happened? Why are you shaking?" Gasping for breath, the younger brother replies, "We are in big trouble this time. God is missing, and they think we did it." A blonde boards a plane to New York. Seeing that the first-class seats appear to be much larger and more comfortable, she moves forward to the last empty seat in first class. The flight attendant checks her ticket and tells the woman that her seat is in economy. The blonde replies, "I'm young and beautiful, and have never had this problem before. I'm going to sit here until we get to New York." Flustered, the flight attendant goes to the cockpit and informs the captain. The captain goes back and tells the woman that her assigned seat is in economy. Again, the blonde replies, in exactly the same way. The captain doesn't want to cause a commotion, and so returns to the cockpit to discuss the problem with the co-pilot. The co-pilot says that he has a blonde girlfriend and that he can take care of the problem. He then goes back and briefly whispers something in the blonde's ear. She immediately gets up and says, "Thank you so much. Now I understand." The pilot and flight attendant, who was watching with rapt attention, asked the co-pilot what he had said to the woman. He replies, "I just told her that the first class section isn't going to New York." What absolutely shouldn't be passed around friends. I once lived in a house with 6 other friends. Cheap rent, good roommates. We had parties every weekend with 50+ people. Life was good. A buddy of ours was very homophobic. His parents said they would disown him if he was gay. One of the guys in the house who knew him the best bought a pink suction cup glow-in-the-dark dildo. The idea was to stick it to the front of his truck. He would either have to touch it to get it off or leave it, at which point we would laugh at him. We thought it was funny, but it never happened because he moved a couple of days after it was bought. So ultimately, we just had it around the house and would mess with each other. Fall asleep on the couch. You get a pic taken with a dildo in your mouth. We stuck it to the wall and hung Christmas decorations on it. We hid it in the cupboards, placing it just right so that if you opened the cupboard, it would fall out at you. We all got pretty good at throwing it at a wall and getting it to stick. Some kids had Elf on a shelf. We had Pink Dink in the sink. We had rotating roommates as some people started moving out and starting their lives after college, until I was the last to leave. I left it in the shower on the last day I moved out with a note. "This is Pink Dink. He may be small, but he can bring so much joy to the world if you use him properly. All friend groups should have their own Pink Dink."